up, everybody? It's the journalist Sin-seer. We are on history lessons. I have the pleasure of speaking with L-Fudge tonight. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yo, 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 yo. Thank you. Thank you
No,
for the opportunity as well, man.
no doubt. We're going to talk about 2023, but before we do that, we're going to go back in time and give the people a little history lesson of where you're born and raised and all that good stuff. So, if you could take us back to the place where you were born.
Well, technically, we're standing right in it. It's I'm from a place called well, it technically is Uptown Manhattan, Washington Heights, like the most like Inwood Hills. It's the most northern part of Manhattan. It's like past Harlem, and like we spoke about earlier, it's the fucking second capital of the Dominican Republic. You know what I mean? It's a real Caribbean, real a lot of culture out here, a lot of life out here. Dope shit. I've been here my whole life though.
So, take us back to your teenage years. What was life like growing up in New York?
Uh, I mean, it was just typical. I mean, for us at least, you know what I'm saying? Because just being a kid from uptown, from here, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of weird, because I grew up. See what happens to me when
That's what's up.
this is how you know that what I'm saying. People pull up on me. Yo, I'll talk to you in a second. Dale. You heard?
Hometown love.
Yeah, that's a fact. But it was just typical shit. Us being kids, man. We did, we had fun. You know what I'm saying? We got into trouble, but uptown and just New York City back in those days, it doesn't matter how crazy it was because it definitely was a lot more crazy. It's getting pretty bad now, but we were still kids though. Doesn't matter what was happening in the streets, we were still kids. We were still playing games. Playing manhunt. You know, as little kids, we all used to group up together and play other blocks. In sports, we'll go play football, stickball, everything. And then at nighttime it was different. People were doing different stuff.
Right.
But all in all, we were kids. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of hurts me now when I see the new generation of kids that they're not kids anymore, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're not playing. They're too serious. They're taking all these weird drugs, man. This is horrible. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
So yeah, so now a lot of kids ain't like the kids we used to be. They're not playing. It's a little too serious. The music is messing all these poor kids' brains up. You know what I'm saying? And but all in all, still I'm still attached to my neighborhood. I'm still attached to my community. You know what I'm saying? Just that I've always been a part of the community. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as I've helped a lot of people out here. Just genuine stuff. You know,
Right.
just just doing what you got to do, man. It takes a village to raise to raise a kid, man, and we still kind of do that out here. You know what I mean? We watch
Absolutely.
all these kids out here, man.
No doubt. Is your
Yeah.
hand by the phone speaker? You
I'm
kind of
sorry
getting
about
muffled.
that.
You're
Yeah, I'm
good.
sorry about that.
Okay,
All
you're
right.
good.
Yeah.
Take us back to some of your early musical influences. Before you got into music, who are you listening to?
Jesus Christ. Again, I grew up in a Spanish household, so it was really weird for me. But ironically, I was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because when I grew up looking up to my older brother. My brother was playing all the jams back then, and I took it way more seriously. I just fell into it once I heard hip hop, or once I heard rap for the first time in my life. It was a rap. You know what I'm saying? That's all I know. You know what I'm saying? And still to this day, like I listen to other genres of music, but I've been hip hop since day one, man. But again, I've been influenced by a lot of things because my father, rest in peace, who died a few years ago. My father was a DJ, a radio DJ, and he had a syndicated show when I was a little kid. That it's weird as hell. My musical influences, because my father didn't speak English and he was an immigrant. He came here, but he was a DJ that had a syndicated show that would play back in the Dominican Republic. But my father would play all the old school soul that was going on back then. So my father was on Chubby Checker and all that with the heaviest accent you ever heard in your life. It's like, how is this gonna work? And then the mother, she was typical Dominican mother, listening to all the Spanish ballads, Ana Gabriel, and Nobody you're gonna know, but typical Spanish music. But it was weird. So I grew up in a studio. I always somehow, some way, I grew up in a studio. If it wasn't with my father, I'm saying, there were other people that played a part in my life that contributed to me actually furthering my once hip hop career. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But hip hop was dope, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you one thing. Who was I could tell you the artist that the first record that I bought that I was mesmerized. I was like, yo, dude, like, like I can't believe this is real. You ever heard Nightmares Day in the Dane?
Oh, absolutely.
That was the first record I
Delancey
ever.
Street. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first record I ever bought with the red cover with the black pearl on it. Profile Records.
Yes,
I
sir.
bought that and I was mesmerized. And then, mind you, remember Slick Rick was out. They were like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, some people would call Dana Dane. He might be biting, whatever. But I thought the record was genius. You know what I'm saying? And but ever since then, I became the biggest fan. But mind you, I was in tune. That was just the first record I bought. Remember, I was a little kid,
Right.
and the first $5-6 I got, I said, let me buy my first record. But I was already listening to hip hop for years. I just couldn't afford it. You know what I mean?
I'm in the same boat with you. My first purchase wasn't until '88. Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, but I've always had
It
my
takes
older
two,
sister.
baby.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what point did you get into hip hop? Was it breaking, graffiti, DJ, emceeing?
I did a little bit of it all, honestly. Whatever my budget allowed me to. When I was a little baby and I couldn't really afford anything. I was breakdancing with my big brother. I would dance. We would battle people around here. I was a little, I was like the little secret weapon. You know what I'm saying? I was a little kid that came out. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And like kind of, it was like a cheat code. And I got into that. I did the graffiti too. I used to write. I used to write. I used to tag this thing called. I was SACE, SASE. If anybody knows about New York graffiti, that was actually me. Um, what else? And it was just natural, man. The transition into hip hop. I was always into hip hop, and mind you, I was always that little kid in the first grade that would bring the music. You know what I'm saying? We'll have a party, a little class party, and I come with the little radio, and I come with all the hip hop joints on tape because I would record them straight up, old school, record them, cassette decks, stuff the ends of the tapes so they could record. You know what I'm saying?
I know
You know,
what you're saying.
yeah, and I would record all these radio shows, and I would literally sit there and edit them like a DJ because I would DJ too. So I would just lower it when they're gonna curse in the class. It was hilarious. But I was always into hip hop, and I just memorized every song. I just had it on cap, so I never felt like I couldn't rap. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I would say other people's lyrics like just as they would say it, or maybe even better, honestly. So I
Right.
never felt I couldn't rap. You know what I'm saying? Like I always knew I could, but I didn't transcend into rapping till a few years later because I first started DJing after graffiti, and DJing was cool. About going back to DJing, you know what I'm saying? Because in all actuality, I think I should have stayed a DJ because you could make a local living off of DJing. You can't make a local living off of rapping, bro. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah, you're not gonna find the same 5 venues every week to hire you every week. When you're a rapper.
Right. Right.
As a DJ, you could make a good living. You know what I'm saying? Even in the beginner stages when you're just opening up, getting $200-300, dude, you could do that 4 or 5 times a week. You know what I'm saying? You can make a living. But
Right.
anyway, I did the transition. I moved to Virginia DJing. Then I wrote my first rap, man, and then from there it was easy. It was just natural. People assumed that I was rapping forever. I really wasn't. I really
Right.
wasn't.
Were you a part of any crews early on, or were you always solo?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. People are just calling my phone, man. I'm still living in the '90s
It's all good.
with an iPhone though.
Early
So yeah,
on, so early on, were you a part of a crew or were you solo when you started writing, rapping?
I wish. I wish I was part of a crew. I've always felt like I wanted to be part of a crew because I didn't want to hold everything down. I didn't want to be the guy, and I also always felt like I could help people much more than I could show people. That's always been my mind state. Like I would like say when I was touring and shit, and somebody would be my hype man. Because back then, when we used to tour, we had small budgets. We made decent money. We made decent money, but we couldn't afford to bring everybody on. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes us as artists, we would tour together and hype each other up. You know what I'm saying? And I've always felt like with certain artists, nobody can hype me up on a stage like I can. Like I used to be jealous of myself. Like
Right,
you feel me? Like I could help you on stage so much, but nobody could give me that You know what I mean?
right.
But nah, it was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Like as far as rapping and all that, like I said, it was just really natural to me. In all actuality, a lot of people don't know this, but that my first record on Rawkus was the first three records I ever wrote.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, so that's probably new news to. In all actuality, it's brand new news to a lot of people. People on Rawkus didn't even know those were my first records. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even rapping. I wasn't even rapping for dude. I probably would when I got signed. I was probably on my 10th written rap, and I got a deal. You know what I'm saying? And I kept it quiet. And I tell people that now, and people are like, "What?" Like I was just speaking to Scam, who did my art back then, the cover. They did the Tribe Called Question and all that afterwards. And he didn't know. He's like, "What?" He was like, "Those are your first records?" Like, "Yeah, that's the first time I was in the studio." And it just happened to be documented and in hip hop history, so it's kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Right. Wow. Did you shop demos early on before that Rockets deal? Did you? No.
Nah, nah. I got on. I got on to a radio station. Ironically, the radio station that I used to record like the Stretch Armstrong show. I was a fan of it, and I don't know if you ever heard of the 89.1, the WNYU, Martin Moore, Mayhem. They were a big, big underground show too. The biggest was Stretch Armstrong, but this was not their competition because everybody was cool, but they were doing their thing, NYU, and everybody would go through there. And they used to do this thing on the radio station where they let people call on the phone and rap. You know what I mean? And they'll boo you if you suck. They'll boo you. And literally, rap number one called, got through, spit it. I was expecting them to say I was horrible, and they actually liked it. And they actually was like, "Yo, dude, you're dope." And they gave me a private number. They was like, "Yo, call every week, and we're gonna get you through." They wanted me to rap every week, and they did the same with another rapper called A Butter. You know A Butter Natural
Yeah.
Elements.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's how me and A Butter got on. We got on together. Literally, we were the two radio rappers that got invited to the show, and then Mayhem would literally like sick us on the mainstream rappers. You know what I'm saying? Because back then, how it was back then. There was a big wall between us and the mate. We were underground, they were mainstream. And we thought we were superior lyrically, and Mayhem and these guys used to sick us. So whenever a big name artist would come through, say doing a college promo tour, because everybody would go to these shows. The same
Right.
people that would go to NYU would go to Stretch Armstrong. You know what I mean? And he would put us to rap, almost like to embarrass him. You know what I'm saying? Like we were like we were kind of like their pit bulls and stuff. But and mind you, these was my first raps, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like this was like rap number 6, rap number
Right.
7. And eventually I got approached by these gentlemen. His name is HB and DL, these two dudes that they were trying to start a management company. And they approached me. They was like, "Yo, we want to manage you." They went to to an NYU event, one of the from the radio show, and we met up. And I was like, "Yo, cool, we'll do it." Uh, a few moments later, I say a few weeks later, we went to the studio. I did my first record, which was what you guys heard on fucking on Rawkus, and I got a deal from it. They took me to Rawkus Records. At first they were kind of like, we don't know, but I started like rapping. You know what I'm saying? I started rapping in the actual Rawkus office. Ironically, to a LP beat. LP walked in, Company Flow, and I was a big fan. Still a big fan of L, even though he's my man. I haven't spoken to him in years, but still a big fan. And LP just came playing those beats he was rocking back then. They were crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I just blacked out. Like, just as a fan with LP, I didn't even care about the meeting. You know what I'm saying? So that got me a deal. Next thing you know, I got a three. They cut me a little deal. I did a 3 single deal and took part in a little bit of hip hop history, man, which is cool, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Can you remember some of those mainstream artists that you went up against early on?
It's crazy when I think about it now, because for me, you can imagine, your first few raps, and you're in a room with Pharoah Monch. Like, how? Like, that's very intimidating. You know what I'm saying? Well, not really. I made it do what it did, but it was crazy, man. It was all really just a blur, man. One minute I was rapping in my house, the next minute I'm in a studio making a song, the next minute I'm on the road touring all around the world, man. And I'm rapping with people who are now like, hip hop royalty, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, man. The Most Def. Shout out to Mo. Shout out to Qua. Shout out to Shabam Sadiq. We still out here. Even though I saw him in Atlanta a few months back. Shout out to Crossfader, Mr. Complex. Shout out to J Live. I go right in that circle. You know what I'm saying? That '90s underground college radio station circle. So it was cool, man. You know what I mean?